Hello again, Steve here with a few comments about what I'm going to call Clown World. And I've only become aware of this sort of a meme character fairly recently, but kind of makes sense as to why somebody would come up with it and why it would appear like the world is almost too crazy to be real. So a clown, when we see a clown, we know that's kind of like it's a facsimile of a crazy person, but we know it's somebody who's doing it deliberately. And the things that are going on in the world today, it's hard to believe that anybody would take them seriously. So it's an apparition of craziness, but it certainly looks deliberate. To the point where even the average person is just laughing so hard at this stuff. It's like the turn of a paradigm, right? I said it before that one of the turns in the paradigm of the whole pushing of the greater number of sort of sexual proclivities and sexual this and sexual that in the world was the LGBTQ thing of the washrooms, right? As soon as men started walking into little girls' washrooms, that was sort of the point, a point in the spider of this apparent craziness that gets truncated, because all of a sudden, probably the greatest protected class in society, women, enough of them start to say, no, you can't. I don't care if you call yourself a woman, you're a man, and you can't be in my little girl's washroom. Or women's sports teams, for example. The pushback starts to happen, right? And but it continues though. It continues in other areas because, like I say, it's like kind of like a spider that goes out in all different directions, and though one may be truncated, other ones continue. For example, I keep hearing people, otherwise respectable people, referring to Chelsea Manning as she. Maybe I'm missing something, but wasn't that a guy who had himself mutilated into a woman? Like, I suspect that there might have been a good reason for him to do that, because might have had an insight into Barack Obama's proclivities, and figured that Obama might commute his sentence if he became a woman, kind of thing. But that's kind of an aside. But why this tendency to call, just because somebody says they are and has had stuff done to their bodies, why are they and they change their name? Why are they all of a sudden a different gender? I must be missing something. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned, and which leads me to the whole clown world thing. I don't think, like, here's one thing. A lot of people are saying that the world is going really crazy. And it's absolutely outrageously crazy. I don't know. I don't think it is, because I ask people, look, if you think it's crazy now, 100 years ago there were thousands of men, possibly the most productive men, in trenches having their feet rotten off and eaten by rats and told to shoot at people. I mean, that's pretty crazy. They had no idea, most of them, why they were doing it. Most of them were lied to, etc., etc. So there's always been this craziness going on. But the difference now, I think, is that the veil has been lifted on those who perpetrate these horrors and those who want to drive society, the social engineers. It's been lifted by alternative media. Now, this isn't the first time it's been lifted. I mean, when the printing press came out, there was a veil lifting, and you saw it, and you can look at history to see the clamp down on that activity. But it's been lifted so that what's happening can be deconstructed in real time, which is very, very interesting. And the other thing that's interesting about it, especially to do with the clown world, is that you have two spectrums and two sort of distinctly different groups. I don't mean left and right necessarily. I mean those who are looking into the clown world and those who are not. Those who remain in the old paradigm, still watching the CNNs and the mainstream media and so on, and actually somehow hoping that it's legitimate at least, right? Versus those who who see what's going on as even not even tabloid anymore, but direct collusion with those who want to engineer them and mind control them. And therefore, they're able to see the manipulation going on behind. It's like in Alice in Wonderland, when the curtain finally gets pulled and there's somebody manipulating everything and behind it, pulling all the strings. There's the seeing of that going on. There's the seeing of justice system is just justice system. It's just a parody of justice, because some people get away with things and some people get the hammer thrown at them. You see what's going on with Assange in real time right now. Those who followed him all the way through, they saw that the people who are going after him now were in favor of him when he was attacking who they hated. And as soon as he exposed the truth on those that are on their team, all of a sudden he's evil incarnate. People see this, and they see it as the clown. They see it as the clown appearing to look crazy, but the clown is absolutely deliberately doing that. And with the alternative media now, with a number of people, especially I would say people who are enlightened on 4chan and these places, they're exposing and they're making this meme warfare, which is to subtly expose. They're subtly expressing that they're seeing the clown, but that the clown is deliberate. It's not actually crazy. All this stuff that's going on is deliberate, likely. And I don't know, just a few thoughts on it. And the lesson we can learn from this, I guess, is just to remain skeptical and be grateful, of course, too, for alternative media, and be supportive of those who go against the narrative, even if that narrative is counter to what you believe in. Because remember, all this talk of Nazis, right? All this talk of Nazis. You remember what was said about the Nazis. First they came for this group, and I wasn't that group, so I said nothing. And then they came for that group, and I said nothing, because I wasn't that group. And then eventually they come for me, and there's nobody left to protect me, right? So the freedoms, the fundamental freedom to stand up and have opinions, is fundamental to civilization, the civilization that the West has experienced, which one could argue is the most enlightened civilization to ever exist. I don't think they even have to suggest that. It's pretty apparent, at least for any objective historian. Sure, there's atrocities taking place, but those atrocities take place not in the name of Western civilization, I would say. Because whenever you have human beings, right, within the construct of a human being, there is the animal and there is the human, right? The human is the higher sense, the rationing, reasoning, empathetic individual, whereas the animal is basically the lower lizard brain, which we have that as well, much older. So all of that goes on within Western civilization too. But you skim off the cream of Western civilization is the Enlightenment, right? Universal freedom, freedom of speech, equality under the law, these sorts of things. Very important. And if we can learn something from the clown world, is to realize that there's craziness going on, but it's craziness that's deliberate. It's using the human mind, the higher sense of human, to drive the animal lusts, which is power at all costs. And we see where that leads in history. Communism, fascism, Nazism, all those sorts of things. It's all the same thing. It's all just lust for power, to walk and grind as many people into the ground as possible. And let's not let that happen. Let's support freedom. Let's support those who are standing up for it, no matter what they're, even if they don't have everything right, according to us. Steve here, again, great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.